problem with that was that the layer two solution at the time was basically using zero knowledge proofs. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with financial terms like T plus one or T plus two. And
Nope.
basically just, okay. So, so this refers to settlement of, like, let's say
Yeah,
that,
he just needs time from
let's say that,
transaction.
let's
So
say that
whatever
I'm a
plus one or
merchant,
plus
right?
two is.
Let's say I'm a merchant and I want to get paid when the transaction happens, when the customer taps on the little device in store with their phone, the merchant settlement probably happens like T plus seven, right? So the merchant might get paid 7 days after the customer actually tapped in store. For some, it's T plus 24, T plus one, which is 1 day later. Some is T plus two. With the Ethereum L2 solutions, they can't even beat the banks. They can't beat the banks because it's probably maybe T plus one unless the roll up fails, and then it is T plus two, which is 48 hours later. And in between, if the first one fails, then the payment provider basically has to resubmit all the transactions, pay additional fees on top of that to basically get the roll up, trying to reconstitute it. It ends up like a Rube Goldberg machine where you hope the thing works. You know, it is very complicated. So the reason I'm saying all
So
of this, right,
Beard,
that my personal experience
just
with
so
building, trying, yeah,
sorry, just so I'm understanding and following. This is Ethereum you're talking about, right?
yes, I'm
As
talking about Ethereum.
a layer two on top of Ethereum solution for like large scale adoption, like JP Morgan or something, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure.
right, sure, no worries. So just from my practical first-hand experience, whatever it is that JP Morgan is trying to do doesn't pass the sniff test, you know. They'll probably try to do a pilot, run up against the same problems that in another company made us essentially fork Ethereum into a private internal network with 3 AWS instances, where we were just trying to run our own private blockchain that was essentially a private Ethereum, and we still couldn't get it to scale past like 150 transactions per second on a private network that we operated internally, which still fell way below what the needs were because this was a capital markets application with real-time trading of capital markets. There's a secondary markets for lending outside of the traditional banks. But yeah, every commercial, large-scale, well-funded Ethereum-based enterprise product that I've been involved in just didn't work out. And the bottleneck was always Ethereum's tech, which is why I'm bullish on BSV, because I have been building my own personal solutions, running my own personal tests, and the thing just pumps, you know, in terms of transaction throughput, in terms of its reliability, everything. So I don't expect everybody to come over to BSV like immediately, like right now, but the world will converge on blockchains. If blockchain adoption becomes a thing in enterprise, they will converge on blockchains that scale at layer one. And there are maybe 3 projects in the wild at the moment which even claim to do that. BSV is one of them. Everybody else doesn't even attempt. They basically tell you about Zuko's triangle and the iron and like all of this nonsense that you can sacrifice this thing in order to get that thing. No, there are only 3 that are making legitimate attempts at actually scaling layer one, and everybody else is basically caught up in trying to play narrative games because they have decided that the speculative aspect and speculative pumping of the coin's value relative to the US dollar is more important to them, and which is fine, right? I'm not trying to 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 say that anybody is right or wrong for their approach to this. But when it comes to trying to do like real economic value that ties into the real economy outside of just us trying to do interesting things with art, etc. on chain, Yeah, sorry, I see Barbie's hand up. I'm gonna just Barbie. You have something to say?
Yeah, no, I have a question. So, I mean, there's a lot of talk of in the future, but right now I'm seeing it's the present, it's the present. So presently, what are you doing to onboard these people? I think that's the more important question, because I just keep hearing the future, and this isn't a direct at you. This is just like a direct
Yeah.
at a lot of things that are
No, that
happening in the
is
space.
no, that
But
is
I'm
that's
curious what
perfectly
you
legit.
guys are. Yeah, no, like
Yeah,
I'm curious what you guys, because
So
I just
I
came
can
back from the Bitcoin
go for it.
conference. Well, hold on. I'm not quite done. So just hold on. I just came back from the Bitcoin conference, and a lot of people who are not anywhere near for the culture are taking over that merchant side of things. So the proactivity is needs to be less about talking and more about onboarding. What is the structure? What are you currently doing to get that underway?
So, I mean, I know that institutions are definitely now focusing on like interoperability and settlement finality, the audibility, I can't say that word. And governance complexities, all that stuff that is coming from the Clarity Act and the Genius Act. This is all in conversation right now. I know Alexander Mann and Connor Murray are two people that just came from, Washington, D.C., doing discussions with them on the SEC government on behalf of the Bitcoin Association to discuss the future of blockchain and digital assets. So, I mean, this is definitely here where it is no longer just, crypto, is this going to, does blockchain work? But, it's working and it's now possible. That's what I was saying last week is all this time, we haven't even had the ability to have the conversation for actual adoption because the Chronicle update and Terranode haven't even been here yet. So it's very recent, mid-April, that we have the ability for it to now be globally adopted, which is why I think this timing of the new legislation that's coming is so perfect, because it's going to actually get rid of a lot of that other stuff that we don't need. Otherwise, it'll be put on top of the, one ledger that we can, have all of that stuff on top of. So not that it'll all go away, but I know the metal blockchain is doing big things with like credit unions. I've also been kind of looking into that and different things with XPR. So, there's a little bit of utility blockchains out there that I see that are competing at the level of BSV, but I still think at the end of the day, there are a lot of conversations about, the narrative that'll come out. And also there's still the discussion, nobody likes when I bring it up, but there is a discussion of patents and different things. I mean, there's a fortress of patents around blockchain technology and then DeFi and stuff with Reggie Middleton. So I think those things need to be enforced at some level to protect the creators of this technology. So I don't know how that'll shake out, but long term, the legislation that's coming down the pike, Gavin is, he can speak on that a lot better than I can. If you want to talk about the law stuff that's coming down with the Clarity Act,
Sorry,
Well, wait,
Gavin.
I
I'm not.
think Barbie, were
Yeah,
you
my
asking
question
about
wasn't about
what's
the
going
law.
on right now?
Guys, sorry, I gotta jump
Sorry,
in.
Whoa, that was a
Barbie.
lot of talking
Um,
at once.
I know.
That was a lot.
Sorry.
That made me come off of mute.
No, it's okay. I think Barbie's mic is a little feedback if anybody else's mic is open when she's talking. So it just makes it a little bit more
Oh, Chase is here.
abrasive there. But yeah, we're all good here. I think if everybody mutes their mic, then Barbie can be heard clearly. And was your question not answered, Barbie, or
Yeah, I feel like we kind of went in an opposite direction of my actual question. And whilst I understand that Clarity Act is a piece and a massive piece to merchant adoption, these other companies are already intact and in contact and already implementing the systems with a pause and a hold, waiting for Clarity Act to be passed. So my question to the BSV community is, what is your actionable item currently? What companies are you currently onboarding? What processes do you currently have? I understand the legislation. I understand that there's all of that, but you have to understand that Walmart right now is already sitting on a Walmart coin. They're already using blockchain technology in their day-to-day operations, not for payments just yet. So my question is, what advantage for someone who would want to come to BSV, what are you guys doing? Because I just actively watched like 4 days worth of companies that are actively already gearing up to launch as soon as Clarity Act passes. These terminals will be in these locations. These payment methods are already going to be structured in. They're literally already just waiting for that act. So what is BSV doing in order to onboard merchants to show their and prove their use case? Respectfully, I just want to make that very, very clear that I'm that's my question.
No,
Yeah.
I would
So
love.
I could, sorry, Casey, could I maybe just quickly jump in?
Yeah, let
Yes,
let
yes.
Beard Papa take this one, please.
So I think that some of the most prominent projects that have sort of made really good strides has to be a Swiss company called MNEE, pronounced money, MNEE, that launched a stable coin a while back. More recently, a stable coin on BSV, that is. And more recently, a Korean company, launched the a Korean won currency denominated stable coin on BSV. I think that one of the most prominent and probably the biggest projects that's pushing into the consumer space at the moment has to be MetaNet by Ty Everett. So if you go to getmetanet.com, it's a whole ecosystem. It's a desktop with an app ecosystem attached to it. Get MetaNet is great. It is I know the engineering is fantastic underneath it because I've had conversations with Ty. He's a really talented, very bright engineer, and he's got a whole team behind him building out basically this idea of how to structure scalable applications on BSV. So go to getmetanet.com. And of course, there's my own little secret project, which is sort of in the pipeline at the moment, that lets you run a Bitcoin SV node directly on your mobile phone. That one is called Overnode, but it is in private beta at the moment. So I don't want to say too much about it because let's talk about the stuff that's out there already. So getmetanet.com. Check out the Korean won stablecoin. Check out the money stablecoin. And projects are constantly launching, like at the moment on this.
Well, and I just want to say real quick, I did post in the nest also how the Bitcoin Association has built a 1 million transaction blockchain node using Amazon Web Service. So, I mean, there's IBM, Amazon, like big institutions also at the BSB table. So I know that a lot of, the people in control of the top of crypto also are, in connection with a lot of big heads of corporations. So a lot of these deals are being made, whether they actually play out or not, and the plumbing actually works for them to be able to do what they say they're going to do is a whole different story. Because from just a layman like me looking at it, the only infrastructure that is possible to actually run their systems is BSV, no matter what they're saying. When they talk, a lot of times on stage, they're describing what is capable with BSV, but they're referring to BTC because there's a PSYOP playing out.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Barbie.
Go ahead.
Barbie. Is Barbie still on?
I'm sure she is. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Barbie? Okay, good to see you again. I appreciate you here. And really, I want to she makes a really good point. It seems like, want to try to kind of like go back into what her point is and her question, which is at that conference, at the BTC conference in Las Vegas, there was a lot of wallets and people actually onboarding regular consumers and users. And there's a lot of businesses doing that right now. And, I got wallets from some myself, and they gave me, I think, free BTC on my phone through one of the apps. And that is huge. Is there anyone doing that? No, Barbie, there's not. Nobody's doing that. Zero. That's to answer your question. But now let me table that.
I'm gonna respectfully
go ahead,
disagree though. There's lots of companies who are onboarding. And it's not just about Cash App giving away $20. We're talking about people who are onboarding major institutions. So, you know, like with the what you guys are talking about, the my problem, you know, is really that you guys seem to be, and again with respect, and maybe I don't know, coming to the retail level and trying to onboard retail while major institutions are going at an institutional level, which means that, you know, whether or not security is there, whether or not the protocol is the correct protocol, these people are pushing for this to be the major use case or the major coin used. So what is BSV like as an investor? What would be my incentive if you guys are coming at an institutional level and or at a retail
I can
level?
answer that, believe it or not.
Yeah.
From the conversation.
Go ahead.
Well, from what I gathered from what Beard Papa was saying earlier, he was, I mean, like JP Morgan and a few, I guess, other clients on that level were trying to work on a layer 2 solution for ETH. And the payment solutions were T+1, and if that failed, T+2. So it wasn't any faster than the current infrastructure. And this is on ETH. But Beard Papa, being an engineer, is saying that BSV has that capability to make transactions faster. And then Gavin was saying earlier about the movies coming out with Casey Affleck and the director of Born Identity and the producer of Social Network, I believe it is.
Yep.
That's where it goes mainstream,
Narrative.
or like, you know, if it gets picked up by the right distributor, and you know, but there seems to be sabotage. You know, there's a reason. Like if I were to put my tinfoil hat on, which I pretty much wear every day, what I'm gathering from these talks on BSV and just learning about it. Oh my God, the crows are going crazy over my head right now. Hey, crows. That Bitcoin in its BTC is dirty, and I say that only because if there's a Silk Road, you know what I mean? Like there's, you know, it's on the blockchain, like, and there's, you know, and that has been the history of Bitcoin as I knew it, right? You know, and then it's almost also like, so the halvings, like there's a lot of questions around, you know, use cases for Bitcoin, BTC, and I'm seeing that BSV has more potential and could quite well be sabotaged all this time and even moving forward. But public sentiment is what drives markets. So it's spaces like this where we're just educating. And there's questions of security that came up last time that I'd love to revisit. But we do have hands up. With respect to the listeners here and everybody, thank you for coming today to the Honeybee Lounge Bitcoin Martini Hour. Stirred Not Shaken this week. Episode 6, BSV Part 2. We had part 1 last week. We might need a part 3. I'm feeling like we might need to round it off with a nice part 3. If you guys are available, we're just not done yet. We probably got another hour here.
Can I respond when you're done, B?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. And then I do want to get to Vince.
Oh yeah,
then,
for sure.
Savage and Overlord with their hands up. And Beard Papa also has a hand up. We've got a lot. So over to you, Gavin.
I'll table the Vince after me. And so now here's the problem that we're facing here in direct response to what Barbie's talking about. So while somebody like Beard Papa has already been through this, working at a company, dealing with Ethereum, trying to scale the transactions, realizing that it doesn't work for institutional grade, most other large institutions haven't been there yet. So they're going to have to do that and try and fail. And no matter what we tell them, you, me, Barbie, anybody, goes and tells them, we can't sell them on that, unfortunately, because we have a problem with narrative. We have a narrative problem, meaning that the killing Satoshi is real. The whole killing of Satoshi and BSV, Bitcoin, has been going on for a long time. And so that's why until this movie comes out to help fix the narrative, and hopefully we can get 100 million viewers on it, then we can actually start to make serious change. But until that point, we still have a major narrative problem, meaning that it's killing Satoshi is dead. You know, we don't want anything to do with them. BSV is dead. This is the narrative. It's never going to work. Bitcoin will never work. It's not meant to scale on chain. There's no smart contracts. It can't work. And so that's going to be the constant narrative until we fix it in the theaters. And once we do, then yeah, we're going to be able to start seeing institutional adoption. But what can we do about it? We could just keep talking about it like this and come together and build companies. You know, build companies ourselves. And I mean, we can start tokenizing assets on chain, selling shares of the company on chain like ICOs used to. I mean, for real companies. So I'll table to Vince. I mean, it's just it's a real narrative thing, and that's the whole point of the film that we want to help to shift that. Vince, you're up, man.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hi B. I'm a first time talker or speaker on here. I'm enjoying your show. I wanted to talk last time and I couldn't. I just couldn't get a second in. You guys were done by the time I came in. But to answer your question, B, the best that I can is, you know, why BSV? I think your question is, okay, well, you know, Walmart has their own blockchain. They're already using it. Why would they need BSV? And it works, right? I mean, you know, whatever they're doing is working for them, and it seems okay, you know, for right now anyway. And you can argue, well, the scalability, they're never going to be able to achieve, you know, 1 million transactions per second, and you know, so forth. Well, you know what? They may not need 1 million transactions per second. So, you know, why would Walmart need or find a need to switch over to BSV or utilize BSV? The answer is because, well, you know, I may have $100 in Walmart tokens or what have you. I'm not exactly sure what you know, to what extent Walmart uses the blockchain, but let's say they have Walmart coins. Well, you know, I don't shop at Walmart. I shop at Target. Well, you know, Walmart coins are not of any use to me, you know, and you say, well, you know, I really don't want those coins, and how do I get them on here, and how do I switch them? And you know, well, then, you know, what if you know, then there's somebody else? Why, you know, I only use Louis Vuitton coins. Well, what's $100 in Louis Vuitton coins going to do for me? So the answer is that it's about interoperability, not just the scaling, but it's the interoperability. You know, how do we, and all these coins won't, you know, I think it's naive to think that, you know, all these coins or blockchains are just going to go away just because BSV is far more superior to them. You know, well, they've already, you know, built their wheel. They've already, there's no sense in reinventing the wheel for what they're doing. All these specific, you know, blockchains that that specialize in one particular thing. You know, for instance, XTC with trade finance, you know, Ethereum with the EVM, you know, so they're not going to go away, you know, just like the Walmart blockchain may not go away. You know, for instance, you know, Canton, you know, everybody thought that XRP, everybody, you know, Canton's going to use XRP. And well, guess what? They didn't, you know, they just made their own coin. And they're already at a $6 billion mark evaluation. And, you know, so when you are able to provide that interoperability with the scaling, that's the key. You say, well, how's, you know, I mean, how are you going to provide the interoperability? The interoperability will be provided by when they retain their autonomy and the blockchains use BSV to, you know, process their transactions utilizing the incredible, you know, processing speed, the throughput. So, you know, by doing that, BSV can offer the interoperability between the two coins. So, you know, it doesn't matter what you have, you know, Walmart coin or Target coin or what have you. It'll be much easier, just kind of like the idea of what Quant does. it provides that interoperability, and I think that's the key. Now you can say, well, if Quant does this, why is there any need for something like BSV? Well, number one, Quant can't provide the scaling that, and I'm not exactly sure what the throughput is or what the scaling is on Quant, but and it does it in a way that is not exactly just one for one. I mean, obviously it can't be. The coins are valued at different prices. Does that make any sense? I don't want to ramble on. Is that making any kind of sense?
I mean, yes, in a way, and I guess like my question is really less about the tech. It's less about the interoperability. It's more about the action plan, right? Because we could talk tech, we could talk all of the chains, we could talk about what everyone's doing all day, but really, it's when these things are put into use case, when their ecosystem is being used correctly for vendor uses, right? Like if you're saying that they can handle all of this, my question is, where are you already doing this, or who do you already have on board ready to pull the plug once the Clarity Act is passed, or people who are in other countries which have the ability to already do this or are already doing this? Like when are we gonna pay the next take over Jurassic Park,
Yeah, I get it. But, first you have to establish the need for it before you can, say, okay, well, this is the way it's going to be attacked, the marketing and the implementation. They have to understand what the actual need is and why they need BSV. So I guess
again, like, what are you guys act like? You can with respect, right? I'm just trying to say this because I feel like the answer is being skirted. I've asked the same question like 4 times now, and I'm getting answers about the tech. I'm getting
I'll just
answers
say,
about
in order to answer that question from my perspective, you literally have to get into conspiracy conversations because, as George Carlin said it best, there's a big club and we ain't in it. Well, there's a big club and BSV ain't in it. And it's been the only blockchain that has been demonetized or like completely delisted and attacked, and its creator has been completely delisted and attacked. And its creator is actually the only one that built the infrastructure that can onboard those institutions, how ironically. So at the end of the day, if you really want me to answer that question, I'd rather do that on a non-recorded thing and give you my honest opinion, because there's a grand conspiracy as to why this is not being onboarded by members of the club, but they are actually still looking and paying complete attention. And there's going to come a day when they're going to have to basically just, bite the bullet and go ahead and adopt this technology, because it's inevitable. They're going to start bleeding money if they don't start transacting like this.
But you're still answering the question, babes, in the same way. Like, I'm not asking about a conspiracy. Who are the people that you're...
I'd say Amazon.
Because you've not answered my question several times now. So my question to you
I
is...
don't work for...
actively right now. Who have you sat down with? Which...
Amazon?
Okay,
IBM.
guys. Sorry, just to calm this down a minute. These guys, Casey,
Jerry,
as far as I know, they are not BSV. They're not the operation in itself. So I get what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that if you're part of the community, like telling me that this, like, I'm just trying to. I'm not saying I don't believe in you guys.
What is your question?
I'm not saying I don't.
So I did tell you though already,
Casey,
like Amazon, IBM. Hold on, Gavin. Hold on. I did answer her question though, because I said big corporations like Amazon, IBM, and if you look at the BSV associate, how many people, big players, are actually onboarding using this technology today, right now?
It doesn't even have to be a big player. I'm asking you, who are you guys sitting down with to utilize this payment method?
Amazon, IBM, huge companies like them. There's lots of others.
Casey, hold on. So it seems like your question is who's using the technology?
Correct. Where is this technology currently being used? Not what I understand. Listen, I've heard you guys speak a million times about this, and I understand your conviction. But when I look at investing in a coin, first of all, if you guys know me, I hang out in degen spaces. I don't really fuck with meme coins like that, right? I fuck with the technology that's actually going to be used. And so as much as I want to like believe what you guys are doing, I need to see that your community, and if you're not BSV, that's fine. But, you know, whoever is integrated into the community, who is making those power plays, and if you are part of the community, it is still part of your, you know, your responsibility to onboard merchants to make sure that this use case that you guys speak of is actually being used. And that's why it's like a little frustrating, because I'm trying to get to the bottom of like, who is actually, where are we using this? The question is, who are you onboarding currently? Who is onboarded currently to utilize this? Right now, if I could walk into a store and utilize my BSV, as you guys say that it can be used, where am I going?
Nowhere.
What merchants
Zero.
are accepting this?
Nowhere. Zero.
Okay, so that is my biggest problem right now, is that you guys are speaking
That's
about.
not true. That's not true, Gavin.
No, that is true.
Okay, well, how many
There's not one
merchants
place I can walk
accept
into right
Bitcoin?
now.
Correct. Zero.
Yeah,
You're right.
there's
Zero.
a lot. There's a lot of merchants that accept Bitcoin. There's a
Right.
lot of them. So my point
Do
is,
any accept Ethereum?
there's a handful of people who accept Ethereum as well. A lot more, I would say, probably more of the like
But
online
big
businesses.
institutions, though,
It sounds.
like
It
big
seems like
institutions.
it's a good. It's a little bit of a loaded question. Your narrative is, you know, in a way, but that's the
Well, I
truth.
just would like to compare it to Bitcoin, like, or BTC.
But here's the difference.
Because
But here's the difference.
They are different, though. I get that.
This is not about onboarding merchants.
Then what is it about? What is the use case of your ecosystem?
Can I answer that? Can I just jump in real quick, Gavin?
No, go ahead, Vince. You
Okay.
take it, yeah.
So here, look, you know, the better way to answer it is that, you know, they're going to come to you. I know that sounds crazy and all that or whatever, but they have to go. If I'm the only one who knows how to work on Ferrari engines, and you own a Ferrari and you have trouble with your engine, you're going to have to come to me. Okay. So
Bro, I'm glad you brought that up, because I work on Ferraris, and I'm willing to take I'm willing to take BSV as payment. So there's that out of the way.
Right. So you know, no, thank you for that. I appreciate it. But here's the thing. There's a lot going on.
Bitcoin to pay for a Bitcoin for a Lamborghini.
Yeah, but,
right, like that's an active, transaction.
About it. I know, but you're thinking about
one person at a time, guys. Crazy, yeah.
You're thinking about it in the wrong context, okay? I mean, yes, you say, okay, well, you know, if it can't be, it's not accepted anywhere. This is beyond, you know, buying merchandise online and paying for it in BSV, or going to your shopping and buy. It's beyond that, okay? We're talking about AI. AI, there's only one blockchain in the world that can handle, you know, all of AI, you know, in running on the blockchain. You say, well, why do you need to run, you know, AI in a blockchain? Why? Because it's immutable. So it doesn't lie. So you keep record of it. So it's efficiency. So if it already asked a question, it already has a record of it. If it's already been corrected, if Grok or ChatGPT has been corrected on an answer, it keeps record of it, and you cannot lie. A lie can't.
It would be
perpetuated.
irrevocable.
Irrevocable, it's immutable. Now, you know, the other thing is, you know, agentic AI. Okay, when you're having 100 AI AI agents on your, you know, each person running, and they need to, you know, compensate each other with microtransactions, there is only one blockchain in the world that can handle that. One, period. And you know what? It's patented. You know, you say, okay, well, you know what? Why can't Dogecoin do it? It's proof of work. You know, why can't we just scale? Why? Because they don't have Aerospike. Because they don't have you know, the throughput. They just can't handle it. It's too late. They're out of the game. You know, there's only one blockchain that can handle these types of microtransactions at millions of you know, transactions per second. The EVM, you know, there's no need for Ethereum anymore. You know, you put everything in, you got a layer 2 that's running on Ethereum, bring it on over to BSV. It's, you know, 1/100,000th of the cost of running it on on EVM. You know, there's really, it covers everything. You want to get into, you know, the existential conspiracy thing or whatever, you know, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, during the COPA trial, right before the beginning of the COPA trial, he bowed out, right? He didn't want to be part of it. So that there's only one blockchain that can handle all of Twitter X, all the microtransactions. We don't know what's going on with all these, even Canton. you know w- you know they can't run it the way to do it. They can't settle that. You need the interoperability.
Vic,
If all these chains, they keep what they're doing and they just run as an overlay on top of BSV. So they get to keep doing XRP, great example. David Schwartz will never answer the question, David, how are you going to do all the money on 1,500 transactions per second? Well,
Vic,
we can go ahead and do this, we can do that. No, but that defeats the purpose. You put it again, and you're offloading all the transactions.
Vic, I
And that,
need to get to the hands. I'm
okay, go
so
ahead.
sorry. And I
I'm sorry, go ahead.
appreciate that explanation.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, welcome to the Honeybee Lounge. We have not met, so definitely followed you back and happy you're here. I do want to get to, let's see, Overlord, Sleep, Beard Papa, and
Me
then back to Barbie.
first.
Okay, Sleep first,
Me
then Overlord.
first. That
Yes,
was a
babe.
lot of mansplaining, but honestly, very informative, very educational. Thank you, Vince Libido. How's your libido? Hey D&D, hey Casey, hey B, Nerd, Maze, Smog, Overlord, Gavin, Barbie, Beard,
Hey,
and to all my friends down there and the listeners, what's up? We out here.
Thank you, Sleep. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thank
Love.
Love
you.
the energy you always bring, Sleep.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah. I hope you're learning. Did you know about BSV before these spaces?
No. I was
Okay.
learning about it the last time I was here. But
Yeah.
then someone else came up here and started mansplaining, and I fell asleep.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll have to try to keep the answers like at a timely basis. We have probably about, I don't know, 40 minutes or so left of this discussion. I feel like, I don't know, I kind of feel like playing a song just so everybody can like unclench their
Yes.
jaws, stand
Yes.
up,
How did you
move
know
your
my
move
jaw
your
was
ass.
clenched?
I think maybe it was me. But let's see. Let me just do this real quick and we'll be right back.